Aviation noise significantly affects millions of people every day. In many circumstances, aircraft noise fades into the background noises of everyday urban life. But in areas near airports, noise becomes more of a concern. The San Francisco International Airport is located in the midst of a large suburban area with more than 1 million people residing nearby. As with most airports located in suburban areas, aircraft noise has been and continues to be a major concern.
I was in a unique position. I taught at a high school that was right underneath the 28 takeoff route. The entire school had been noise-proofed so that most of the noise was mitigated when students were inside. Unfortunately, I was in a relocatable or a portable classroom. On particular days, we'd literally be stopping instruction on a regular basis, and heavy use days like Fridays, the afternoon classes were literally impossible.
These concerns are routinely addressed at the bi-monthly meetings of the San Francisco International Airport Community Roundtable. The Roundtable is a committee consisting of appointed and elected officials from the City and County of San Francisco, the County of San Mateo, and 18 of the 20 cities in San Mateo County.
The Roundtable is dedicated to improving the quality of life of the residents who live near SFO and are affected by aircraft and airport noise. Working side by side with the Roundtable is the staff of the San Francisco International Airport.
The SFO Aircraft Noise Abatement Office negotiates with the airlines and the Federal Aviation Administration for the quietest possible operations at SFO. The most successful and largest noise abatement program to date has been the Fly Quiet Program.
The purpose of the Fly Quiet Program is to take all the information gathered from the Noise Abatement Office and encourage the airlines to work with us to improve their operating procedures to reduce the impacts of noise in the surrounding communities. It's a very easy to read, easy to use document that anyone in the community or in the airlines can use.
The data we produce is in various fields. And each of those fields rates our departures or arrivals, aircraft types flown here by the airlines, and their adhesion to our nighttime noise preferential runway use. With that, we make a summary, averaging the scores for that airline, and then rank them against each other. We try to take that into the community and show them how the airlines are performing based on what they have done with hard factual data.
The Fly Quiet program consists of 6 categories and a summary report: fleet noise quality, noise exceedance, nighttime operations, shoreline departure quality, gap departure quality, and Foster City arrival, all resulting in an overall Fly Quiet rating for the airlines. Let's take a closer look at each of the categories. The Fleet Noise Quality Rating evaluates the noise contribution of each airline's fleet, both as it actually operates at SFO and as it operates worldwide. Airlines generally own a variety of aircraft types and schedule them according to both operational and marketing considerations. Federal Aviation Regulation Part 36 specifies the certificated noise level measurements of an aircraft at 3 locations: approach, departure, and sideline. When these aircraft-specific noise levels are combined in a composite score, they form the basis for the Fly Quiet Fleet Noise Quality Rating calculation. The Fly Quiet program assigns a higher rating or grade to airlines operating quieter, new-generation aircraft, while airlines operating older, louder aircraft are given a lower rating. The goal of this measure is to fairly compare airlines, not just by the fleet they own, but the frequency that they schedule particular aircraft into SFO. Eliminating high-level noise events has been a long-time goal of the airport and the Roundtable. The noise exceedance rating allows the airport to track which airline is responsible for noise events that disrupt the community. It is also the second Fly Quiet category. SFO has set noise thresholds based upon historical data at each of the 29 noise monitoring stations around the airport. Whenever an aircraft overflight produces noise levels higher than the maximum allowable decibel, the noise threshold is surpassed and a noise exceedance occurs. The airport's noise monitoring system logs noise exceedances by exact operation, aircraft type, and airline name. The noise exceedance rating quantifies each airline's number of noise exceedances during a rating period with a corresponding number of operations for the same time period. This is done to balance the program between airlines with few flights and those with many operations. Highest scores are given to those airlines with the fewest exceedances per 1,000 operations. Reducing nighttime noise, especially causing sleep disturbance, is a key goal of SFO and the Roundtable. The third area in which the program grades airlines is in their participation in the Nighttime Preferential Runway Use Program. This program is designed to maximize the number of flights over water and minimize flights over land and populated areas between the hours of 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. Points are assigned to each airline based upon the percentage of time the airline uses the various different runways and departure tracks. By using the most desirable configurations, that reduces the effect of noise on the community. Airlines are awarded the most points. There are two sets of parallel runways for both arrivals and departures at SFO. The primary goal of the Nighttime Preferential Runway Use Program is to use runways 10 for takeoff because they offer the over-the-bay routes.
Between the hours of 1 and 6 a.m., weather permitting, San Francisco Tower designates runways 10 as our departure runways. Now these are eastbound runways, and they help mitigate noise in two ways. First, when the pilot applies power to the engines, the noise moves backwards into industrial areas rather than residential ones. And second, after takeoff, the aircraft flies over San Francisco Bay rather than residential areas, and air traffic control will keep the aircraft over San Francisco Bay until it is high enough that its noise is no longer a factor.
When a departure from runways 10 is not possible, the secondary takeoff preference is to use runways 28 and follow the Shoreline departure procedure. This procedure directs aircraft to make a right turn on takeoff, avoiding populated areas northwest of the airport. When the Shoreline departure using runways 28 is not possible, the third preference is to use runways 1. These runways are oriented such that the aircraft fly over the bay. However, backblast from the departure affects communities directly west of the airport. Aircraft departing SFO using runways 28 are further evaluated in the Fly Quiet grading system when they use the Shoreline departure, regardless of the time of day. The Shoreline departure is a predominantly visual flight rules, or VFR departure, that steers aircraft to the northeast shortly after takeoff. By keeping aircraft east of Highway 101, the majority of the overflights will be experienced by industrial and business parks instead of residential areas. The Fly Quiet Shoreline departure rating is based on the overall percentage of shoreline departures flown during a specific rating period that are considered good, marginal, or poor. Using Highway 101 as a reference point, the Fly Quiet program grades aircraft using the Shoreline departure procedure in the following manner. An aircraft that flies within a quarter-mile east of Highway 101 is considered to be a good departure. An aircraft that stays within a quarter-mile east or west of Highway 101 is considered to be a marginal departure. An aircraft that is more than a quarter-mile west of Highway 101 is considered to be a poor departure.
Aircraft are directed over water instead of populated areas whenever possible. However, conditions such as wind or poor weather, as well as traffic from two other major airports in close vicinity to San Francisco, make it difficult to direct all traffic to fly away from residential areas.
Because SFO frequently experiences poor weather such as clouds and fog west of the airport, often aircraft departing SFO can't utilize the Shoreline departure and instead must use an instrument departure procedure known as the gap departure. This departure takes aircraft over rising terrain to the west of the airport. Aircraft on this route fly over schools, churches, and neighborhoods in San Bruno, South San Francisco, Daly City, and Pacifica. Aircraft flying the gap departure are graded on the set altitude parameters and placed into one of three categories: good, marginal, or poor. The general concept of higher is better is the basis for the scoring system. The more altitude an aircraft can gain without using maximum power, the higher their score or rating will be.
The higher an aircraft flies over the community, the less the noise is over the surrounding area. So we always say altitude is better, higher is better. We like to have the aircraft do most of their climbing over the airport and then reduce the power as much as possible within their standards, and then continue their climb out at a reduced rate until over the ocean, then power back up and continue the climb.
To evaluate each airline's performance in the gap departure category, altitude readings are recorded at 1 mile increments along the departure path. These real-time altitude readouts are then compared against established altitude benchmarks or parameters. These parameters factor aircraft type and are destination specific. A Boeing 747-400 on an international flight has different altitude parameters than a Boeing 777-200 on a domestic flight. The most recent addition to the Fly Quiet program is the runway's 28 Foster City arrivals, which are monitored from 11 p.m. until 6 a.m. during visual meteorological conditions. Airlines arriving to runways 28 during these hours are assessed based on which approach path is used. Aircraft approaching from the north over the San Francisco Bay and east away from Foster City Shoreline using the quiet bridge approach will score well. Arrivals crossing the north and eastern sections of Foster City using the tiptoe approach score marginal points, while airlines crossing south over land or inside the tiptoe approach will score poorly. Whenever possible, we ask that you think of those below as you fly over. The following reminders can help your airline achieve a higher Fly Quiet score, but more importantly, they can help show you care about the people living near SFO by becoming a better neighbor. An airline can easily increase their fleet noise quality rating by scheduling their newest and quietest aircraft on routes in and out of SFO. Flying quiet aircraft can also have a positive effect on an airline's noise exceedance rating. A quieter aircraft doesn't typically cause as many noise events and therefore doesn't log as many exceedances as older, noisier aircraft. Pilots have the power to further enhance their airline's Fly Quiet score during the nighttime hours, when it has the biggest impact on those who live near the airport. Whenever possible, use runways 10 for nighttime departures. Of course, safety always takes precedent over all other concerns. It is very easy to score well in the Shoreline departure rating category. Aircraft are requested to execute their right turn prior to Highway 101, just off the departure end of runways 28. Aircraft that turn directly over or just past 101 will receive the highest score. The gap departure procedure is monitored in 1 mile increments from the end of the runway, so carriers using the gap departure will score better if they climb as high and as quickly as safety practices allow. And remember, Foster City is one of our most sensitive communities for arrival noise, as they are located directly under the runway 28 left center line. We try to work with the pilots and air traffic control to avoid overflying the community. Pilots using the quiet bridge approach will score the highest in this category. Despite the Roundtable and SFO's extraordinary accomplishments and programs, noise concerns persist. So consider these options to be a good neighbor and continue to be considerate of those people living near the airport.